Welcome to my video. This is Kelly Rowland with When the Stars Aligned. I'm going to be talking about the Human Design Profile 6-2. So if you're familiar with human design, there are many different profiles, and 6-2 is my profile. So I can speak from a lot of experience and a lot of study that I've done with my 5 years of human design and working with this system. In human design, your profile is seen as the costume that you wear in life. It's the personality, the role that you play, the way in which you exist with yourself, but also in the dynamics of relationships, business, partnerships, and just generally how you go about life. There is a conscious part and an unconscious part to every profile. If you're a 6-2 or you want to learn about the 6-2, the role model is the conscious part, which is the 6 line, and then the 2 is the unconscious part, which is the Hermit. So a 6-2 is a role model Hermit. What an interesting combination, right? I am only 24 currently, so I am still in my first phase of the 3-phase cycle of being a 6-2. What is that, you may be wondering? 3 phases? 6 line goes through this really fascinating process of 3 distinct phases in life. The first phase is from 0 to 30. The second phase is from 30 to 50. And then the third phase is 50 plus, 50 onwards. And these are 3 pivotal phases of one's life where the whole dynamic changes. Everyone ultimately goes through this journey. But what the 6 line does, the 6 line is the role model line. It kind of influences and embodies for the rest of the types, for the rest of the profiles, of how it's to be done. There's something extra accentuated about the 6 line journey with these 3 phases. They're showing the way, they're leading the way, they're influencing the others through these journeys of life. That's why it's called the role model. This role model part is the conscious line. So there's a deep awareness for these people, and for myself, I can feel this. I want to share. I want to be a leader of some sort. I notice that I'm often not fitting in with the pack so much. There's something about me that wants to stand out, break tradition, create a new way. Yet the unconscious part of me is the Hermit, which is not really being too fussed with helping other people all the time. How can I just enjoy this for myself? How can I just tuck away in my own corner of the earth and just ruminate and reflect and ponder and go into all these spaces on my own, all of these revolutionary, eccentric ideas in my own space? And I can absolutely identify this because I have a very good friend, one of my best friends, and she is a 4-6. So she has that 6 line, which is the role model and the coming together, breaking patterns, starting a new way, but she's an opportunist. So she has a lot of people around her and she loves being out and about. So it's really beautiful for me to see that reflection of how this Hermit line is quite strong and it's quite unique in its way, and it can feel challenging. But I want to bring you back a step to what I was talking about with the 3 phases, because the 6 line isn't fully activated actually in the first 30 years. In the first 30 years of a 6-2's life, they are more in a 3 line, which is trial and error. So for me, up until this point, for the next 6 years, I'm still in trial and error, which is ultimately giving me the maturation and the experience to then be able to share in my future. It's kind of this aged wine. It's like this maturation process needs to happen for 6-2s. And before I knew that I was a 6-2, I was always so curious, why am I going through so many changes and so many erratic patterns and really loving this and then all of a sudden being over it and I've got nothing more to learn from that person in this relationship, and then being in one place and then moving across the world to a different place and then moving across the world again and moving and moving and moving and changing and never feeling like I'm fully settled and just like, what is happening to me? Like, why can't I just be happy? I have all this passion inside me. Why can't I just find the way that it works and boom, I'm done? It's trial and error. And often people who have this line, this 6 line, in the first 30 years of their life, they can go through a lot of stress, a lot of trauma. They can even pick up addictive patterns and abuse substances or drugs because they just feel like they need a way out because there's so much stimulation and change. Wasn't really the case for me, but I can definitely relate to a lot of chaos in my even younger years, in my youth. And it gave me a lot to learn from quite a young age, where most of my peers didn't have to go through the same sorts of things I did. I feel like having this perspective now, knowing that I'm a 6'2", it sheds a bit more light a bit more awareness on what was happening to me and how that the experiences come my way are actually teaching me to be able to learn from those experiences, and then ultimately when the time comes, I'll be able to like refine them and share them with others. Another personal experience I've had with being a 6-2 is I'm always looking for the perfect thing, the perfect person, the perfect place, the perfect work, the perfect scenario, because there is this deep desire within me to want to be able to share and teach and to have this perfect thing that I can offer to the world. But this searching for idealism is what gets knocked around in these first 30 years. And I can see through a lot of my personal reflection already how I've always been chasing idealism. I've been pedestaling my lovers and my best friends and oh, they're the one and they're amazing, and like actually seeing them as even more grand than perhaps they actually were. It's like I'm trying to project what I want from them onto them. And sure, I mean, this can feel really good for people, but probably gets to a point where it's quite overwhelming and unsustainable and uncomfortable for both people. And it ends in a bit of a falling apart. And I can see that I have sought that out a lot. And a lot of my journey with 6-2 has been breaking this idealism. And my challenges, where things have been totally pulled out from under my feet, is kind of burning up a bit of my innocence. My innocence and this naivety to, well, it's going to be perfect and ideal. No, knock that out of you a bit early, because that's not really how life is all the time. And the imperfection is the perfection. It's just not pretty with the bow on it like we expect it to be, or like I expect it to be. So this has been a big journey with me, and especially in the field of relationships. I'd have to say that that's where it's been the strongest for me, is having to overcome this over-idealization of partners and becoming more open to trial and error. Okay, so that didn't work, that's all right. Whereas my younger years, it was a lot of, this has to be the one. This is the man I'm going to be with forever and ever and ever and ever. And then they must love me. And, you know, it took several partners for me to see that's probably really unsustainable. And it actually makes me bored. After like a year or two, I'm like, oh, well, I don't really want this anymore. Because it's the erratic change. Change is going to happen no matter what. So currently, knowing this in the past few years, I've brought more of this openness into my relationships. Okay, so how can I not be so clingy to this idealization of my partner? And it's hard still, but how can I just be open? And how can I invest in myself and love the other as they are? And when fights come up and when troubles come up, how can I actually just let those come and let them guide me where I need to go? And it's not the easiest thing, but it's part of the 6-2's journey. Life's not supposed to be easy for 6-2s. It can be very, very challenging. But the hope I keep reminding myself is that it's for a reason. And the more I fully go into this phase of trial and error, and you fully go into this phase if you're still in it as well, the more it's going to reward you in the long run as you go through the other phases. Now, the second phase is from 30 years old to 50, and this is called going on the roof. So for someone like a hermit, a 6-2, this phase may feel very, very natural and easy because we have a bit of a withdrawn aura. We like to tuck away and do things on our own, and when the opportunity's kind of there, or when it's right, or when we feel ready, then we'll go out and share. Or when our friends kind of pull it out of us, we'll come out and share. From 30 to 50, it's a time of withdrawing. It's like you're climbing up on the roof and you're observing. Instead of observing the first 30 years, your own trial and error, it's like you get to step back and watch other people do it. You get to go into the observer role, see what's happening around you, and ultimately gain a lot of wisdom. When you go into your third phase, when you turn 50, and you come down off that roof, after A, having had a lot of your own personal experience, trial and error, B, climbed up on the roof and watched and observed other people, C, coming back down as this integrated human in your full potent power, ready to share with the world. This is what it's all about. And the more that we can honor each phase, the stronger that is. And I want to share with you something really fascinating about being a 6-2. And usually these kind of people, they can still be powerful when they're young, but they come into a lot of their power around 50 years plus. And I actually had an astrology reading, like a Western astrology reading with this amazing astrologer. Actually a few, and they all confirmed for me without knowing anything about human design. I see you coming into your power when you're a bit older. It's like this grandmother wisdom. It's going to mature and evolve with time. It's not so much like a quick, like put in all the hours now and make it happen before you're 30. It's more of a maturation process that you're going to step into a lot of power when you're older. At first, when I heard that, being the 6'2" that I am, I was really angry. I was like, no, I want it now. But I wasn't fully honoring the phase that I'm in. So if you are a 6'2", and you feel this need and desire to step into your power and to do amazing things in the world and to, yada, 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 all that stuff, just be patient with yourself. See what challenges and opportunities life is presenting you in this moment to grow and to learn and jump into those full force. Right now, life's presenting me the challenges to grow in relationship, in self-esteem, in childhood trauma, in a lot of how I relate to myself, like seeing myself as less than others. Life's giving me these challenges to grow in. So I'm going to have fun with trialing and erroring what works and what doesn't work. And yeah, it's not always going to be joyous fun. Sometimes it's going to be tough fun. But that's just part of the process I'm in now. And the more that I can embrace that now, I really trust that it'll lead me on a path where I can then inspire others in good time. The journey of a 6'2", by far not an easy one. And one that is deserving of a lot of respect and compassion over time, because the journey that you'll go through is quite different than what most people will expect or experience themselves, because you actually see life very differently. Some people can just say, oh yeah, whatever, get over it, it's not a big deal, but that's not the case for a 6'2". They feel things very intensely and they see the bigger picture. So for them, nothing is minuscule. Everything has a huge purpose, everything has a meaning. And they want to unravel and be the server of that meaning. But that can come with good time. So all the best of luck to you if you are a 6'2". I hope this has been helpful. Let me know below if you're a 6'2" as well. It's always good to meet up with more. I'm a generator 6'2", so that also puts a different spin on it depending on your type. But that's all from me for now. Enjoy and good luck.